Hi everyone, my name is Jackie. I'm the summer camp director for our 1-week Catalina Seed Camp program and our 2-week Catalina Seed Camp program.
And my name is Paul Buttercup Kupferman, and I'm the summer camp director for the 3-week program at Toyon Bay.
Woo!
Catalina Seed Camp. Pretty exciting, huh?
It's really exciting.
We got some pretty exciting jobs. What are we going to talk about today, Jackie?
Today, we're going to talk about everything you need to know and you should be doing to prepare yourself and your camper for Catalina Sea Camp.
But it's so early.
But you can start now.
You probably should start
You
now.
honestly should start now because the amount of people that kind of wait till the last minute and then we're getting those like last minute emails. Oh my gosh, like I can't get into a physical. I can't see a doctor.
Yes.
What about this? What about
Yes.
that? We just want to tell you now. I mean, you might be watching this in February. Maybe you're watching this in March. I mean, it's October right now as we're doing this, but
Yes.
you could start as soon as possible.
Your child should also know what they're getting themselves into.
That's true.
What
yes.
camp is going to entail, watching videos, checking out the website, seeing if they have questions. You could even send us their questions.
Yeah.
That would be super, super cool. Making sure that they know that they are not going to have this
Woo!
while they are at camp. And I am someone who loves this. I've got it right here.
Tell them they will be unplugged. They should, honestly, if they live in California, they should leave their phones at home.
And I would also say, start preparing them before they come.
Yeah.
So the week prior to coming to camp, say if you give them a certain amount of time on their phone every single day, say cut it by 20 minutes one day, cut it by an hour the next day, and just start cutting it down so they are more prepared to be without their phone. Because I will say, with this year, 2023, some of our campers, even though some of them knew, it was still a lot for them to not have their phone. If your kids are using their phone upwards of 6, 7, 8, 9 hours a day, you should wean them off their phones prior to camp. I can't recommend it enough.
Maybe even if there's like a social event that you're about to go to, a birthday party or something, maybe say, hey, let's practice for this 2-3 hour party to just not take our phones out.
Yes.
Because it's so easy for kids to be like shy or maybe they don't want to talk and they just kind of go to their phones as like a comfort shield.
You know, another thing is you're probably thinking, but that's how I communicate with my camper.
Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about communication.
Yeah.
How will you communicate with your camper while they are at camp?
Yeah.
Jackie, what's one way?
We have our bunk notes.
Bunk notes? What's
That's
a
what
bunk note?
It's a bunk note. So when you enroll and register your camper, you go through CampMinder, our CampMinder system. You have a login and a password, and that login and password will get you into an app, a very special app called...
That app is called Companion.
It's called Companion. It's not called the CampMinder app, which is kind of confusing, I get it. And there's lots of info that we will also give you more on this. But for now, there's an app that you can go into, and you can see photos of your camper, and you can send your camper daily letters through an email that we will print every single day for them to read.
And then your camper will get that if you click a little box that says, I want to get a letter back from my camper.
Handwritten
your
reply.
Camper will get a blank piece of paper. It's got a barcode on the top, barcode on the bottom, and they will write on it, and we will send it through, and you will receive it. It goes like this when it goes through the internet.
And then you'll get it on your phone like this.
Boom, just like that. And you will see your child's writing like a real-time postcard. So they never get in front of a screen, but they're emailing you with the help of our fancy magic technology.
Yes, that is the best way to communicate with your camper.
Yes. You can also, if you have a camper going to a lengthier session, I don't recommend doing postcards for the 1-week program.
No, please
but for
don't.
2 and 3 week program, do what my mom did. Do you want to know what she did?
What?
Besides labeling every single sock with my name on it, she would send me with self-addressed stamped postcards. So she would write the name on the postcard. She would put the stamp on it, and she would say, you need to send all of these postcards if you want to return to camp next year.
Whoa.
And if I didn't send all those postcards, then she would say, sorry, you're not going
What
to
would
camp.
you write on the postcards? Like, would you write full letters?
I would say, these are the activities that I got. These are the people in my cabin. My counselor's name is Dweezil, and we're having so much fun. We're having a beach party later today. So yeah, I would totally say things. And guess what? Now that I'm like 27 years old, my parents still have saved... That was rude. They don't know how old I am. So my parents still have those postcards today, and they will bring them out at Thanksgiving and read them and say, your grammar was terrible.
They must love you.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, so 1 week, I mean, maybe the 2 week that would work, but for the 1 week, the amount of letters, like snail mail in the 1 week is not good. It just doesn't work out. We'll have families that'll send snail mail to their campers, and it'll literally arrive the day after their camper has left the island. Mm-hmm. And then we have all these letters for Paul Kupferman that isn't in camp anymore. That's and right. Then we're having to return to sender. So the best way to communicate is through that. But
email system, and we give you free credits.
We do.
We give them to you.
We give them to you.
So if you want to email every single day, there'll be a slight cost, but we give you, I think it's 5 free credits per week, and that's at least 2 emails and 3 responses, or 3 emails, 2 responses, etc.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Communication,
it's important.
It's important, which I guess that's technically something that you do while they're in camp. It's not really something you do before
can start preparing those self-addressed stamp postcards now.
That's true. Just start collecting. Go to
you're a real planner.
The Hallmark store and pick up some
Or the United
cards.
States Post Office. They just get like a blank, boring postcard because it doesn't matter what's on the front. It's what matters. What matters is what's written.
Okay, whatever. Okay, let's actually talk about what they could be doing right now.
Do it. Give me a topic and I'll go.
Forms and documents.
Yeah.
The most boring thing ever.
Super boring.
I agree.
Yeah.
When you enroll your camper, yes, you enroll them and they are in the system, and we don't make you right away start signing and filling out these forms and documents that are required for them to come to camp. And a lot of parents are really good at getting it done on time, and some of us, it's okay. You know, life gets ahead of us, and you don't do it in time, and then you're scrambling. So some of the important ones, like the physical. So we ask that every single camper has a physical done by their physician before they come to camp. Mm-hmm. Needs to be signed by the physician and put into our system. And that's something that you could do right now. It just needs to be within a year.
Sometimes scheduling a physical is incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
It can take months, so scheduling it now.
Yeah.
Scheduling it now.
Maybe that's the first thing you should do, is just schedule a physical within the next few months, just so that you have that done and you're not like scrambling to get a physical for your camper.
And if there are updates that are made in April or May just before camp, let us know.
Yeah.
And we can update those things or allow you to log back in and change things.
Yeah.
Your child might be taking new medication that they weren't taking in the fall or the winter.
Yeah, just that type of stuff we have to know and is required for them to come to camp. Other things, if your camper is going to the 3 week and they are going to be scuba diving.
Oh, there is scuba paperwork.
Scuba paperwork. Even if they do tri-dive, the 1 tri-dive opportunity in the 2 week program, there's scuba paperwork for that as well.
And they have to get signed off by a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you are going to have your child scuba dive, we need to make sure that they're physically fit and ready to go. The doctor needs to be able to sign off on that. Yeah. One thing, if your child has asthma or has ever used an inhaler, they probably can't dive with us. We have to be overly precautious and make sure that everybody is able to scuba dive at our facility.
Yeah.
And if you have more questions about that, you can reach out to our dive director, Peach.
Yeah.
Peach, our dive director, and you can reach her at diving@gdi.org. Producer Patrick is putting it right on the bottom of the screen. It's right here. Diving@gdi.org. It's true. Do you see that? It's pretty. It just sparkled. Okay.
Sparkles. So forms and documents, please don't wait till the last minute to do that. Something else that is in the forms and documents section of your camper account online is bunk requests. Yes, I just want to touch on bunk requests because bunk request is when you want your camper, or your camper wants to be in the same cabin as another camper, and you're requesting that they are together. And we see that. So when we're building housing in our system, we can see like, producer Patrick wants to be bunked with Director Paul Kupferman, and then I'll see their names. And
wait a minute.
What?
Paul Kupferman's 27 and producer Patrick is 35. Can they be in the same cabin together?
No. Oh. So that's the other thing, is the way we group cabins is by age. So
age-based.
Age-based. So like 8, 9-year-olds live together, 10, 11-year-olds, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. If you have a camper that's 11 and they want to be in a cabin with a 13-year-old, we don't put those ages together.
Even though they might be siblings. A lot of times we have parents that will enroll a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old and say, I would like them to be together.
Yeah.
That means you're probably going to get a call from Jackie or myself, and we're going to explain our age-based housing policy and why we think it's better that your camper gets to meet new people and that they will get to see their siblings at meals and at free time.
Yeah. So if you have friends or family, I mean, right now you might have enrolled your camper and you have maybe cousins or friends later on that enroll, you can go back in and add the bunk request. We just really ask you to make sure you put that in there, because if it's not in there, there's a big chance they won't be bunked together.
Yeah.
And another thing that's helpful is we talked about this in the last info session, that we don't like to bunk, a camper by themselves who doesn't have any bunk requests with a bunch of kids that know each other and are friends. We try to make these cabins as level as possible so that kids are coming in and getting bunked with other kids that are coming to camp alone and trying to make new friends.
We want balance in the dorms.
Yeah, so
awesome.
Please, and first and last name, please. And if there's a nickname, put that in parentheses. That's also in there under forms and documents. Another form and document that gets looked over a lot and is super helpful for us and our counselors is the camper experience form.
Oh, so important.
It's so important. The camper experience form is something that the parent guardian fills out, and it asks a lot of questions about the camper. Did they choose to come to camp? Have they been to camp before? Have they done other camps? Do they do chores? How do they do with authority? Is there anything you really want us to know about?
Is that form passed around, and does everyone in camp get to read those forms?
No.
Who reads those forms?
Just the counselor.
And sometimes the director.
Well, yeah, we get to, and the head counselors, will sit down. Sometimes the counselor will say, hey, I'm going through this camper's file. Can you help me with this parent form, and let's just talk about ways that we can make sure this kid has a successful time.
Not something that is shared all over the place, but please be as honest and share as much as you can, because the more information that we have, the better and more successful we can be with your camper.
Yeah.
Again, it's not something that we're going to hold against them. It's just a way that we can maybe pick the right counselor for them.
Right.
But also, if we're having concerns with them while they are at camp, first thing I'm going to do is go read from the thing that you sent us.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, let's try this method. This has worked at home in the past. Maybe it will work here.
Yeah. It's just another tool for us to make sure that your camper is having a successful time at camp.
We're partnering with you. We want to help raise a successful young adult, and we will read what you share with us.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like those are the most important things, forms and documents-wise, that we're looking for it to be done. And like we said, you could start those now. You can start preparing for those now by setting those doctor's appointments. Moving forward, another big question that we get that Crystal actually just got on a phone call today about, Crystal's our registrar, is swimming abilities and snorkel abilities. Can my camper come to camp if they don't know how to swim? What does that look like? For the 3-week, I feel like it's pretty, you do a swim test.
We will do a swim challenge on the first day where the campers jump off of our float, which is about, 5.5 feet, 6 feet off of the water, and then they have to swim about 50 yards to shore. That is how we know that a camper can be successful in our ocean. If they can't do this, which we have campers do that, that's fine. Anytime that they would be in the water, they would have to wear a life jacket. They already wear a life jacket every time they are kayaking or they are sailing, but we would require, if they could not pass the swim challenge, to wear a life jacket. In the 1-week program, every time that they're snorkeling, they're already kind of wearing a flotation device.
Yeah, so every camper in the 1-week program gets to go snorkeling 2 to 3 times.
And you're wearing a wetsuit.
And they have to wear a wetsuit. It's wetsuits that we provide. I bet producer Patrick will put a nice photo of some campers in their SeaMe wetsuits.
Oh, they're adorable.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, look at that one.
Wow, look at right there.
Ooh, that blonde girl, I know her.
They're very thick, very buoyant. You can't get down even if you tried. They just kind of bob on the top like this.
Neoprene, it allows water in, so it warms up to the body temperature, and it also acts, as Jackie said, as a flotation device. It's buoyant.
And there's really not a lot of opportunities in the 1 week for kids to be in the water without life jackets. We do have a beach time, like playing on the beach, and they can go swimming. We have a blocked off swim zone that's heavily lifeguarded with lots of adults. And there's, of course, a shallow end, like our cove. It's not like big waves. And that's another question I always get is, what does the ocean look like for you all? It almost looks like we're on a lake. Like the water
yeah,
kind
our
of like
waves
laps.
are what I call ankle slappers. That's about it. You're not going to see a lot of waves over there.
Ankle slappers.
And it is an incredible, I can't speak. It's an incredibly safe place for first-time divers, first-time snorkelers, because it is so mellow. We just have those ankle slappers, and it's you're able to see everything below. We have great visibility during the summer. It's a wonderful place for first-time divers and people who aren't super great swimmers.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would say if your camper is petrified of the water, or if your camper doesn't like deep, dark places that are like ocean-like, I don't know if we want to talk about this.
This might not be the right camp.
It might not be the right camp.
Those are conversations I have with parents all the time.
Okay.
We want camp to be
fun.
A fun and a place where your child is comfortable. If they truly are afraid of snorkeling, we've had kids that come and they have a fear of kelp. We have kelp. Make sure that your camper wants to go to an ocean adventure camp.
Yeah, maybe take them, if you're able to, take them to the beach or put them in a pool. I mean, I'm assuming most kids have the opportunity, but if you don't, it's a good way to just see if your camper will be comfortable being in the ocean at camp. Because at the end of the day, we are an ocean adventure program and everything we do is in the water. So I would say your camper doesn't need to be an amazing swimmer. They don't need to be like super, super comfortable, but they need to be willing to get into the ocean.
We have an amazing ocean safety protocol where we station lifeguards from the pier to all over the beach. For our snorkel trips, there will be an instructor in the front and a counselor in the back, continually counting. Every single instructor and counselor, almost.
I would say like 98%.
98% of the 1 week program instructors and counselors are lifeguard certified. Every single one of our instructors who are teaching all of those courses at Catalina Sea Camp 3 week program are certified lifeguards.
Yeah, and we haven't really touched on the 2 week. The 2 week is similar to the 3 week, where we do ask our campers to do a swim challenge where they jump off of the float and swim in, just to make sure that everybody's comfortable and can get from point A to point B. And if they can't do that at that time, they have all the opportunities to continue to try it out. Otherwise, we ask them to wear life jackets when they're around the water.
Right.
So yeah. Another thing that a lot of people ask us, and I know it's early, but there are a few things that parents like to do ahead of time, and that's, what should I pack? Is there anything special I need to buy my camper before they come to camp? Do I need to buy my camper a wetsuit and snorkel gear? I get that question a lot, which is totally fair because that's what we do. The answer is no. You don't need to buy them a bunch of ocean gear. We have everything they need. We have wetsuits, masks, snorkels, fins. In the 3 week program, there's weight belts and dive gear.
For our 3 week program, if your child will be getting scuba certified or will be scuba diving, we do require that they have their own mask, snorkel, fins, and booties.
That's true.
Booties are neoprene-based shoes.
Yes.
We
Water
work
shoes.
with many different amazing diving-based organizations and we get the top quality equipment and we sell it to you at base price. We are not trying to make profit off of it. We want our campers to have the safest, best gear that they can have, and so that is something that you will receive in the activity guide. There will also be links to purchase all of that gear. And again, you're not going to get better gear and you're not going to get lower prices unless you know somebody somewhere, like your cousin works at a dive store. We're going to give you great stuff at a great price because we just want safety.
Yeah, and we want them to feel, in diving, it is so important that you are comfortable in your dive gear when you are learning diving. I mean, I remember when I was a camper at 3 week, I got my scuba certification, my basic scuba certification, and having my own fins, mask, snorkel, and booties was really comforting, and it made me feel like I had some personal things down there that I could get used to and learn about.
I also, in my opinion, I would say don't bring your own wetsuit.
Yeah, it's not necessary.
Sometimes we will have 3-week campers that want to do that. It is bulky and it will not dry in time for when campers are leaving. And I would say it is the most left item at camp because campers leave it down at the dive deck and they're drying it. They want to dry it till the last minute, and then they just get left. I highly recommend not sending a wetsuit. We have a ton of them in every single size. We, during the school year, have everything from 3rd graders to 12th graders and their teachers. We have every single size, from teeny tiny to big.
To giant football player. Another thing that I talk about a lot of these questions start to come in the springtime, but it's what do I do if my camper gets seasick? Because we take a boat from Long Beach into camp to get our campers to our facility. And I get a lot of questions about how long is the boat? Do campers usually get seasick on the boat? What do I do? What can I get to make that experience better other than Dramamine? And I feel like we should have some type of deal with these watches that you talk about, because we talk about these so much and they help kids a lot.
Yeah, so number one, there is Dramamine and there's Bonine, Bonine. Look, it says it right here, Bonine. Thank you, producer Patrick. Bonine has a children's Bonine and a regular Bonine. I feel that Bonine over Dramamine will make kids less drowsy. Dramamine, we just see these kids falling asleep once they get to camp even. But like Jackie just mentioned, there are these things that I don't remember exactly what they're called. They're like seasickness watches, or seasickness bands. They're not the pressure-based ones. They look just like a watch, and it sends a tiny shock into your arm. And I guess it tricks your nervous system. I don't exactly know how this thing works, but it is amazing. I can walk up to a child who is throwing up and feeling very ill on a boat, and I can put one of these watches on them, a seasickness watch, and they are immediately, within like 5 to 6 to 7 minutes, they're fine.
Yeah.
These things are magic. It's almost like tricking your brain.
Yeah. And makes a world of a difference.
I'd love to have someone on here that could explain how it works, but it is truly magic. If you want to know more about it, email me, Paul at Catalina Sea Camp, and I'll send you to a link to one on Amazon. They're pricey. They're anywhere from like $100 to $150, but it can be used if you get car sick. It can be used if you're on a cruise ship. It can be used anytime you're feeling queasy. I know somebody who's pregnant that has one right now, and it has worked for them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not. It's not me. I'm not the pregnant one.
She's not. Producer Patrick is.
Yeah, so that's another item that you can start researching if that's something your campers talked about being a little nervous about, or you're just curious on what to do in that sense.
Yeah, other things that are important about packing, because you will receive a packing list from us. They're already on our website. But things that are important is, if you want to get those clothing items back home when your camper comes home, label them. Please. Again, I mentioned earlier in our little Sea Camp breakdown that my mom used to label everything. She labeled everything, a single sock. I think even though I am 27 years old, I still have socks that have my name on the toe. I'm not 27 either. Please label everything. That is incredibly important. For example, we have 14 and 15-year-old girls. 14 and 15-year-old girls will share their clothing.
Oh, yeah.
We had a group this year that put all of their clothing into a bin, and all of the girls shared them. And I had a camper go home who didn't take home half of their clothing, and I'm having a heck of a time trying to find their clothing. So please label clothing and know that you'll get a packing list from us, or if you're super proactive and you're already packing right now, then those lists are available online. But label.
Yeah.
There's a whole list of items that you should not bring as well. We don't need to go into them, because it would just get wacky and funny.
Yeah.
It would.
Labeling. Also, another thing I like to say is don't, at least for the 1 week, because the campers are there for a week, and we get them like clockwork. Like every week, kids are coming in and out. So things that get left, tend to disappear sometimes, just because the island eats them. Sometimes we find them and I send them to you, and sometimes we find them literally months later. I can't explain it. I wouldn't send your camper with like their absolute favorite, like most expensive Patagonia jacket, unless you know that they're going to take care of it. And
during our 3-week program, we're going to do laundry, and we might ruin, a jacket. We might ruin something. Somebody might put in a brand new red sweatshirt, and everything turns a nice pink hue. Hue.
So, yeah, I think those are kind of the big packing things that people like to think about ahead of time.
I'm trying to think if there are any other packing tips, but I think for now, I think that's pretty good. Yeah. Can you think of anything else that you would want to know before, like, sending your kid to camp? People always say, you know what, you don't allow them to bring their phone. What do they take pictures with? We send my daughter with disposable cameras. You can still get them, and you have to send away to get them developed. But that's one great thing. Label that camera. Yes. Or buy a cheap digital camera. We're seeing a resurgence of digital cameras because campers can't bring their phones. Bring a digital camera. You can get a 256 gig card, and they can take pictures to their heart's content. So there are ways for them to take pictures. I still have my photo albums from when I was a camper. If you want, Patrick, I'll send you a picture of me as a camper right now. It's right here. Look at it. Wasn't that cute? I still have all those pictures, and I cherish them. And we have photographers that go around camp and try to take as many pictures as possible, but they're not going to be there at some of those moments that your camper might want them to be at. Yep, but label even that camera. Yeah, not everything. Yeah. All right. Okay. I feel like we've unloaded a whole lot of good stuff. We've made you laugh. We've made you cry. Jackie's mouth is open. I hope we didn't make you cry. I don't know. Maybe they were remembering when they went to camp. And they got really sentimental. Nostalgia. We like that we made you feel. That's what we're here for. This has been Catalina Sea Camp Breakdown. The breakdown of Catalina Sea Camp, things that we think you should know. Thank you for listening. Before you send your kids. Again, like we always say, if there's questions that you have that you think will benefit other people, send them to Paul at Catalina Sea Camp or Jackie at Catalina Sea Camp. And hey, we might give you a shout out, and we'll also answer your question. Yes. Also, if you haven't enrolled yet, you should enroll. Totally. We have an early bird price that ends January 30th. You get a discount. Enroll your camper. Send them to camp. Do it. Send them to the best place on earth. It's pretty cool. Catalina Sea Camp.